Behind this line, we need to leave room for our speakers. Do you have anyone else back there?
I know, that's what I always do. Squeeze more people in it. See over your head, so.
I think the only person that needs to absolutely be in front is Special Counsel.
Right, Shema, whip us into shape. Are you speaking for us?
I'm the token.
Okay, checking.
I gotta be seen.
Can everyone take a big step to their left?
A big step to your
Yep.
left.
Maybe one more.
One time, let's go.
Right. I like that energy.
We're doing this as a dance.
And then maybe a small step back. Thank you.
Let me go sideways.
Okay,
And
looks
silence
great.
your phones.
He's the field director.
If everyone could do their best to find a window, if you can't see me, the cameras can't see you. Great.
Can we silence our phones?
Yes, great. If you have a phone on you, please put it on
Come on,
silent.
Miss Pastor, okay? Get in here, Mama.
I'm just putting this back.
Oh, that's good. That's the one I need.
I put mine by the basket.
That's a good thing about me. Always in the back row.
Right.
Pirate. And Shema, let's look at Shawnee. Our adopted non-producer. I'm a doctor as Kiani. I better get Navajo tea. They, what kind of tea? The one you drink or the tea? Hey. I'm like, text me. So I worked on the task force with April where were the policy parts? The policy.
What's that? Oh, you know what they do?
We're gonna look at issues together. Let's, oh, we should take this separate.
All right, Governor Lewis, on this X right here.
More like caffeine.
Colonel Glover, put you right here. And so you can follow me right this way. You're gonna stand right on or right near that X right there.
Spot.
Again, adjust yourselves, find a window, now that we have speakers in place.
Governor, you needed to just.
You know what? He's in a good place for a selfie. Here, take a selfie with my camera. Take a selfie with my camera. You got the long enough arms. All right, everybody.
Justice.
I'll send this to you.
I want to see action.
Where are your sound bites?
Always. It's just for show.
As I enter my third hour of speaking.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. As you can see, we are joined today by tribal leaders, law enforcement representatives, and members of the state MMIP task force, as well as the family of Emily Pike. And we are here because the crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous people demands our full attention and collaboration. It demands action, and it demands solutions. This is an issue that has been a priority for my administration. Within the first few months as governor, I signed an executive order creating the MMIP task force. And this task force was asked to evaluate the recommendations from the Legislative Study Committee on Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. And I have to give so much credit to the legislators who pushed for this committee and pushed for action, and they made this happen. One of the recommendations of the study committee and then the task force was to implement a multi-jurisdictional alert code for missing persons that don't fit the criteria for an amber or silver alert. And last fall, after the FCC established this new alert code, I took action. I directed our state's public safety agencies to develop a plan to implement this new alert, one that would help save missing and endangered persons by delivering critical messages to the public via television, radio, and wireless phones. And now, as a result of this legislation, those efforts will be codified into state law as the new turquoise alert. And because my administration has been working on this since last year, we don't have to wait until sine die and a general effective date for this to go into effect. The turquoise alert will be ready by the end of this summer. And I'm so glad that we were able to come together in a bipartisan way to pass common sense legislation that will increase public safety. I want to thank the bill sponsors, tribal leaders and advocates who have been pushing for this action, members of the MMIP task force, Colonel Glover and the staff at the Department of Public Safety, as well as the Arizona Department of Emergency and Military Affairs Emergency Management Division. Every year, tens of thousands of people go missing who fall outside the criteria for an amber or silver alert. Emily Pike was one of those people. Her life and her story matter. I recently met with leadership from the San Carlos Apache tribe, and I asked what the state could do to support the investigation. Today, I am announcing that the state will contribute $25,000 to the reward for information into the disappearance and murder of Emily Pike. And this brings the total reward to $175,000. I urge anyone with information to contact the Gila County Sheriff's Office or the FBI. Emily would have turned 15 last week on May 15th. She should have celebrated with her friends and family. Her family deserves this justice. Emily's mother, Stephanie DeSella, said in an interview that Emily is changing the world. And in her honor, I am proud to sign Emily's law to establish the turquoise alert in Arizona. With that, I'm proud to turn it over to Governor Lewis.
Thank you, Governor Hobbs. Skuksiotic. Good morning, everyone, friends and relatives and supporters. My name is Stephen Rowe Lewis, and I'm the governor of the Gila River Indian Community. I'm joined here today by Catherine Lewis, who is the head of Victim Services, and also our community judge, Sunshine Manuel, as well. I'm honored to be here today at the signing ceremony for House Bill 2281, Emily's Law, a law that will put into place a rapid response system, as Governor Hobbs just said, to issue alerts when Native Americans go missing or could be in danger. This alert system, also referred to as a turquoise alert, closes the jurisdictional and age-related gaps that sometimes led to delays in alerting state and local law enforcement and the general public when Native Americans, our relatives, are reported missing or are endangered throughout the state of Arizona. Now, the language provides for collaboration between tribal, state, and local police. And as we know from the success of the Amber Alert system, the sooner law enforcement and the public are alerted to potential danger, the stronger the likelihood that endangered individuals can return home safely. It's a testament to the serious need for this law that we were able to pass this bill quickly and with unanimous support. Issues of safety, life and death of our very relatives are not partisan. I applaud all of the members of the legislature for their support for this bill and for taking this important step to addressing this long-standing missing and murdered Indigenous crisis that continues throughout our state, sadly. This legislation will serve as a model for other states to take steps to protect tribal people within their borders. I want to offer a special thanks to you, Representative Teresa Martinez, who sponsored this bill and saw it through this legislative process with the other senator that represents our community, Senator T.J. Shope. And I want to also offer my sincere and deepest appreciation for our great governor, Governor Hobbs, who has made MMIP a key issue for her administration and who has supported this legislation and other efforts to address this long-standing MMIP crisis. In closing, I want to acknowledge the life of Emily Pike, who this law is named after. Now, while this bill was being considered in the state legislature, of this senseless murder of this beautiful 14-year-old Emily Pike, a member of the San Carlos Apache tribe. No parent, no tribal community should lose their child, their young member, to violence. But this murder was especially heinous. This law won't bring Emily back. But we hope that Emily's law, the turquoise alert system, will prevent another relative, another child, another teen, another relative, another family member, and another tribe from this same type of situation and loss. With the implementation of the turquoise alert system, along with the amber alert system and silver alert systems, together, we can collectively all work together to protect our children, our elders, our most vulnerable, our tribal members, and act quickly to bring them to safety. Thank you so much. Mosapo. Now, at this time, I'll turn the mic over to Colonel Glover. Thank you.
Thank you and good morning. DPS is proud to have played a role to support the creation of the Turquoise Alert, also known as Emily's Law, to honor Emily Pike. There are numerous DPS personnel who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to create this alert system, and our team has been working to bring this alert to life since last year after the FCC's decision to launch a missing and endangered persons code. Staff members that assisted in these efforts were including Sergeant Kim Love-Ness, Jill Swanson, Kelsey Camiso, Captain Shannon Soto, Communications Supervisor Timothy Powell, Major William Beck, and both our Public Affairs and Creative Services units. I want to give special recognition to our Emergency Management District Captain, Tom Neve, and our DPS Tribal Liaison Captain, Paul Etnar, for their dedication and assistance in this very important work. I also want to thank Governor Hobbs and the legislature for signing this bill and codifying this effort. It can assist in missing Indigenous people who are disproportionately impacted by disappearance and violent crimes. Emily's death has served as a rallying cry for Arizonans to do something. And collectively, we have, by creating a rapid response alert system for members in federally recognized tribes that includes children and teenagers. In addition to this work, we do ensure that we are stemming off tragedies like this one so it never happens again. We're offering a reward of $25,000 for information that can lead to bringing the perpetrator of Emily's death to justice. I will now turn over my time to Mr. Allred Pike.
I'd like to call up Emily's mother, Stephanie, and Emily's sister, I believe. I'm conflicted. This bill is named after my niece who's not here no more. that reminds us that she's not here, she's gone. It's a good thing that an alert system is here for all of Indian country, but the hard part is it's named after my brother and Steph's daughter, and she's not here no more. And I thank the lawmakers, Governor Hobbs, the tribal leaders, law enforcement, for their due diligence in making sure this law passed. But the hard part is knowing that my niece isn't here no more. She was murdered, she was dismembered, she was tossed to the side of the road like she didn't matter. She was our daughter, our niece, our granddaughter, our cousin, our friend, and we're here to tell you that she mattered. Her life mattered. It's hard to be here, but at the same time, we understand that we have to move forward. And Emily's law is a step in the right direction. We just don't want this to happen to anyone else out there. To make sure that this law helps save lives for other missing and murdered Indigenous women, other missing and murdered Indigenous people. We just thank you all for helping pass this law. We thank you for keeping the memory of my niece alive. We still have a lot of work ahead of us. We still have to keep fighting. Her killer has not been located yet. He's not been found. If you know anything, please contact the appropriate people. This person shouldn't be able to hurt anyone else. Thank you.
We can take some questions now. If you just want to raise your hand, and I'll give you a call. Questions?
Wow.
It's hard to have what you say.
Yeah.
Is there?
Hi, Barbara.
Hi, yeah, just to clarify, we are the only state in the nation who visit there.
The FCC just approved this code in August of last year, so I'm sure we're not the only ones implementing right now, but
Oklahoma has
Yeah.
one. Yeah. New Mexico.
yeah, a lot of them. I think,
California.
yeah, we'll get you a list, yeah.
I'm prepared.
Right there. The camera.
Can you explain the difference between this, the FCC code, and the turquoise alert? Because I believe they're different, right?
So the FCC code is the missing endangered persons, and it fills the gap between what qualifies for an amber alert and the silver alert. And the bill just codifies it into law. We were already taking the administrative action, and the bill calls it the turquoise alert. So it's all the same.
More?
I have an on-topic comment. I wonder if you could, you have made this a priority for your administration. What comes next? This is a big step, but what does your administration want to do next to help these missing and murdered individuals?
So we are taking our direction from the MMIP task force, which has worked diligently since they were formed in 2023, building on the work that the Legislative Study Committee had already done. We know that there are many gaps to continue to fill. There's so many cross jurisdictions involved in these cases and investigations, and we're going to take direction from the task force. And I don't know if any members want to talk about what you're.
And we need the federal government to understand we're tribal sovereign nations with a treaty agreement with the federal government. We're not a minority entity. And so when they take down federal recommendations from the Not Invisible Act Commission, they do a disservice to the many families who have provided their testimony and their recommendations. And so we not only need to see states united, but we need the federal government to act upon their trust responsibility and to provide services, funding, victim services, search and rescue, wraparound services so that our families can feel that they're seen, they're heard, and that we will not tolerate another one of our relatives to be victimized as we've seen with Emily.
Thank you.
Governor, can you just talk about the criteria to implement turquoise alert and across all the tribal lands?
Colonel, do you know that? Oh, okay.
I'm going to have Captain Tom Neve from DPS answer that question. He's our technical advisor on it.
So just if you've read the statute, the criteria is going to be mirroring the statute. Basically, the person has to have gone missing under unexplained or suspicious circumstances, that local law enforcement that's taken the report of that missing person has exhausted their resources in trying to locate that person. There's also reason to believe that that person is in danger, either in danger of a dangerous person or in danger of, for other reasons, it could be elements or medical things of that nature, and that there's enough information about the disappearance of that individual that if we share it with the public, that the public can assist law enforcement in safely locating that person.
Let me ask the Colonel a question here. The DPS jurisdiction on tribal lands is, I know you get to patrol the state highways, but what jurisdiction do you have on tribal lands because of the fact that they are sovereign nations?
So for sovereign nations, we usually have MOUs or agreements that are in place on whether or not we are going to conduct any enforcement action, but we do leave it up to the tribes to make that determination. And so it depends on whether or not they want us to act as an assist agency on their behalf to be able to assist them in their tribal police. And typically, it's the tribal police that they lead on those particular issues, and they can call us for assistance. Sometimes even without the agreement, we try to make the arrangements to be able to make sure that we're respecting their sovereignty.
That's why it's important to have this law, because this also, as was said by the councilwoman, delegate from Navajo Nation, and our tribal leaders here, right? It's important. It's important that tribal jurisdiction, that the trust responsibility that exists between the federal government and tribes, that there's a coordination and a respect for tribal law enforcement. And this law is a great step that we're going to have to build on. There's still gaps, but we're going to be working together on this as well. Whether it's MOUs with tribes and the state, you have local jurisdictions that will follow the lead of state DPS, and it's important. It's so important that we have this House bill that's going to pave the way for future collaboration and respect for tribal sovereignty when when our most vulnerable, our relatives, when they go missing, right? It's every second, every minute counts. And that coordination and that respect and that collaboration between tribal law enforcement and state, all the way down to local law enforcement, is critical. And Emily's law is an important and a necessary and critical next step in bridging these gaps.
Hey, right here.
This may be a better question for DPS, but there have been some concerns over the term runaway being used when an individual goes missing initially. Some say that term shouldn't even be used at all, but I'm wondering will these alerts be issued even if a person is initially categorized as a runaway?
So as far as runaway goes, in and of itself, a runaway isn't necessarily a crime or a suspicious or unexplained circumstance. Certainly people, again, this law doesn't just apply to those under 18, it applies to those all the way up to age 65. So if somebody decides to leave or go missing of their own volition, then again, what do you call it, running away or leaving, it wouldn't necessarily qualify in and of itself as a runaway. But again, if the circumstances are suspicious or unexplained, adding that to somebody who maybe ran away might actually, I would say, tip the scale to that actually meeting that criteria for that alert to be considered.
Right there.
Off topic for the governor. Any comment, the DOJ dropping the investigation in Phoenix Police this morning?
I just read the headline before we came in, so no comment.
Right there.
On top question. It's sort of a follow-up to the runaway question. This, of course, is named for Emily Pike. However, the reason why there wasn't an Amber Alert issue is because she was classified as a runaway. So what changes for other kids like Emily in Arizona who disappear and are classified as runaways?
That's a great question.
Endangered piece of the law
Yeah.
and under suspicion.
Thank you. I'm Senator Hatatli. I am also a member of the Joint Legislative Committee oversight for Department of Child Services. So I think most importantly, going back to the table and having these discussions on these missing links as you're talking about, and then looking at amendments to legislation so that it's not only limited to the kids, the children who are wards of a court, or even under the jurisdiction of DCS. So we want to be able to have that discussion so that it's applicable for all kids, regardless of what jurisdiction they fall under. To have those conversations, to have those memorandum of understanding so that we're there when our vulnerable community members need us. So, and then also stepping up on the resources that we have for our children. And so what happened to Emily, she fell through the cracks of many systemic barriers. And that's where we need to have that conversation so that we are not having this similar conversation years down the road regarding our children. So I think that's very important to note, and thank you for that question.
And well, hold on to that point. I think to what the senator is saying is that the word endangered is what is key. So had this bill been in place, she could have been classified as endangered, in danger, and therefore the turquoise alert would have been put. But I can assure you, if clarification needs to be further codified, I know that I cannot find a better partner than Governor Lewis, all the tribes, and Governor Hobbs to be able to help clarify that if that needs to be clarified even more. But for now, she would have fallen with what Megan said, under the endangered category.
0 to 65, right? Governor? That's the importance of it.
We have a question right there.
Right here.
Oh, wait, you want to add? I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry.
Please.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yes. Hello, my name's Terry Ramler, Chairman of the San Carlos Apache Tribe. Emily was my relative. And I just want to add two things as we continue to refine the bill. One is that we need to change the term runaway to just strictly missing, because that heightens the security, that heightens the response of everybody. It makes it more important, because when you label somebody runaway, you give them several days, several weeks, oh, they'll return. But if you do missing, completely different with law enforcement. So that needs to be changed. And also, Emily came from a place called Peridot on a reservation. Probably, I think, only 1 or 2, 3 places in the whole world where there's the Peridot gems. So as we continue to revise this bill, Governor, I ask of you if you could change this turquoise name to Peridot name to reflect where Emily's from. Thank you.
tribal side, then it would be the FBI who had jurisdiction, and we know that sometimes FBI is a little bit slow in doing these types of investigations.
I think that the level of coordination that you see during an effort like that needs to continue. And I think one of the things we find across the board is that just with so many cross jurisdictions, the communication, the coordination, the cooperation doesn't always happen. And that's how some of these cases tend to fall through the cracks and not rise to the same level of attention that they deserve. And so I would like to see this kind of effort sustained. People don't just go missing when there's a surge. And I think there are certainly lessons we can learn that we can continue to carry through our actions to protect vulnerable individuals.
The surge is great, but the problem is the government needs to change their federal laws to adopt to tribal agencies in which we enforce. The federal government's federal laws has not adopted to what's taking place in our communities. Our misdemeanor crimes are not being addressed at a federal level at which they should. So this is the beginning with the Governor Hobbs of taking a step with the state, being forefront in the spirit of this. But if this surge is going to happen, then the tribes and the feds need to come together, and the federal government at the federal level needs to adjust the laws to adjust to what we need when our people are murdered, missing, or even the simplest of domestic violence needs to be handled at a federal level. And this is something that's happened for years, and it has not changed over the 19 years since this task force has taken place with the federal government and the tribes.
So do you see looking to Congress to amend or make major changes to the Major Crimes Act? Because that seems to be a lot of the source of how this jurisdictional nightmare started in the first place.
Right, like, so there's an all-front fix, but right now, it's hard to move anything in the Congress that doesn't recognize our sovereign rights and moving forward, because the whole premise of the Major Crime Act is to take that ability for tribes to prosecute these offenders and the major crimes, then it has to be elevated. So I would say with your question with FBI, what I would want to know as the chair of the Missing and Murdered and Their Relatives Task Force is how many of those cases are they declining? How many of those cases are they in communication? And are they respecting our tribal law enforcement and having those conversations instead of segregating and making decisions without this kind of input?
All right, we have time for one more.
Hi. So MMIP has been a part of, has been an issue within Indigenous communities for generations. The push to get this type of alert within tribal nations in Arizona specifically has been ongoing for years. You have advocates in this audience who have been advocating for it for years. It has finally happened. How are you feeling?
Does somebody want to take that?
You keep moving forward.
Go. You know what, I'm gonna ask Sosi, who is a quiet champion on this bill, please, Representative Sosi. And you know what, you too, Brian, Representative Garcia, they were amazing sponsors, co-sponsors in the House.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Representative Myron Sosi, Legislative District 6, along with my seatmates, Representative Peshtagai and Senator Hirtconkle, and Representative Garcia here. Knowing that this has been an issue that has been talked about for so many years, and not only on Indigenous lands, but across the country, when we see so many of our relatives go missing each and every single day. We see it on social media. This morning I saw another one on social media that we have another missing relative. And this is just one step forward to that. It brings some relief to me. It's not a complete relief, but it brings some relief to us as Indigenous peoples, that finally our voices are being heard, finally that are those who have gone missing, finally those like Ashlyn Mike who went missing back in 2016, her cries, her screams, we didn't hear it physically, but we can hear it in our heart. The same thing with Emily Pike. We didn't hear her cries, but we hear it in our heart. And we're here to advocate on their behalf. We're here to show and to scream for them, to yell for them, to come to their rescue. And so this brings some relief to our tribal communities across, not only here in Arizona, but across the country. But we've got to continue to fight, not only here, but across the country with Congress. We need to continue to advocate as much as we can. We can't do it ourselves. We need you, your help, the community. We need the press. We need you to help us get that voice out there, not only for us, but for our missing and murdered Indigenous peoples across the country.
I'm Representative Peshlakai of LD 6. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who has taken part in the murder and missing Indigenous people. And I'd like to thank everybody that's here for supporting what was started with a person that has started this movement. And I'd just like to say thank you for Governor signing Emily's law. We don't need to be standing here advocating for a tragedy. This has started a long time ago. Our Indigenous women being used as slaves, as guides across the United States. And it's been here for over 500 years, and it has come to this to wake us up by a little girl that has been murdered. But there are so many missing and murdered Indigenous people, and I've been through it. I had a niece that was taken and murdered. But it was so hard for us to come forward to relive a tragedy like this over and over. I've been in it, and I know I care deeply for all of my Indigenous relatives across the country. With that, I just wanted to say thank you for all the support that you have given us. And with my mother here, she's my mom, even though I'm older than her. I look up to her. And then my grandpa for the support. He's my grandfather. And this is the type of kinship that our Indigenous people holds us together, and we keep moving forward with the past. So thank you very much, Governor Hobbs.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Representative Brian Garcia from LD 8, and I'm a member of the Basquiat tribe. I'm quite frankly feeling overwhelmed. It's been a long time that our tribal communities have felt forgotten, left behind, and not seen. And I think for Governor Hobbs' dedication to all of our tribal communities is quite frankly refreshing. And the dedication seeing across state government and working alongside tribes, having the cross-deputization agreements, and really leaning on tribal sovereignty to guide that, I think has been something that as Indigenous leaders we've always been fighting for, advocating for, and I'm incredibly grateful and to see that happen in real time and be one part of that process. At the same time, acknowledging that we didn't get here on our own. There have been so many leaders that have advocated for us to be here and to continue that message and continue fighting for all of our folks who are missing and endangered. And so all that credit goes to the folks that we stand on that allow us to be here and continue that work. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I'm Senator Hatatli. I represent Legislative District 6. Thank you very much for your presence, your interest. My challenge to media is to elevate our missing and murdered Indigenous people. When one goes missing and we find out that we will never be able to greet them, we lose generations. We lose 3 generations, and it continues. And so when a person goes missing, it should be elevated in the media, not when they are found in horrific conditions. So that's my challenge to media. For everyone that's out there that hears these stories, share these stories. Continue to get the word out, because human life is more important than anything else. It's something that within the House and the Senate, within the governor's office, all levels of government, we're talking about human lives. And so I think that that's important to acknowledge. And thank you very much for your question, because when we talk about missing and murdered Indigenous people, it goes all the way back when settlers came onto this continent. And as was alluded to earlier, we have stories, we have guides, we have our stories of people and these different individuals who are now sensationalized by Hollywood. That's wrong. Pocahontas is probably our most celebrated individual throughout the Western world. She was our MMIP. And so that's important to note. And so the work does not stop today, because we talk about jurisdictional issues, we talk about training, we talk about education. We need to stop working in silos. We need to come together and have these difficult conversations, because every single day, as was communicated earlier, we have another missing person. So thank you very much. It is a milestone, but there's many milestones in the work that has happened at the state level, starting from 2019 when Representative Winona Benally was part of that conversation, as well as Representative Jennifer Germain, and then also there's many women leaders who have continued that advocacy. We ask that you listen to understand. That's my request. So thank you very much.
Relatives, there's the power in the number 3. Let's say her name. Say her name. Emily Pike. Say her name.
Emily Pike.
Say her name.
Emily Pike.
God bless you. Thank you, Governor.
All right, buddy.
How long did he serve?
Me too. I think he served
Thank you.